Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Thought I'd talk briefly about lumber before I head into work. Lumber prices are dropping dramatically. We went from the $17.30 per thousand on this July contract down to around 12. I don't know, what is it, the mid 1200s per thousand right now. And I would suspect that we are going to be dropping down into the 1100 per thousand here probably this week. At some point that will reverse and we will see an uptrend in the pricing again as the sell-off continues, but there's always like a pressure relief. So if there's like a dramatic sell-off, then you'll see a price increase for a few days or week or whatever, and then the downward trend continues. The demand for lumber, regardless of what you hear out there in the media, from what you hear out of everything, is not there. The retail end of lumber sales is diminishing. The reason why there is a huge demand coming from the mills and throughout the distribution line is that there is a filling of the sluices that needs to take place. There was a huge depletion of lumber long before COVID started taking place. You can go and look at my videos. Go look at my videos from the end of 2019, and you will find videos in there talking about mill curtailments, mill depletions, or inventory depletions. There was a lot of issues taking place inside of the building material industry before COVID hit. There was inventory depletions taking place. Then COVID hit, and more inventory depletion. So filling that back in is very difficult. I mean, think about just the different amount of lumber that you can buy. You got 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, 2x10, 2x12. 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s, 20s. That's what, 35 different units of lumber. And then you have to have how many different, how many units of each? And especially when it comes to studs, I mean, every house uses a unit of studs, at least. So the amount of lumber that you have to have on hand is staggering. And so if you can imagine that if you were a distribution hub, the amount of lumber that you have to have there is overwhelmingly huge. Just to supply on a regular, consistent manner all the different lumber yards out there and all the different builders. Lumber is a bulky, heavy, takes up a lot of space. It's hard to move. And getting it through the system and filling it up on a continuous basis has not been easy. But it's happening now. Things are freeing up. More lumber is coming onto inventory, and the prices will continue to come down. However, the retail end is not interested in buying incredibly expensive material. We're talking all the shelves in the garage, all the wood sheds, all the chicken coops, all the tree forts, all the remodeling of the basements. Then you have the housing demand. So there is a lot of customers out there who buy lumber who are not interested in buying right now. Look at the housing starts. Although they have increased over the last year, the last couple of months since the beginning of the year has come down. Just look at the numbers from the beginning of the year till now. The housing starts are starting to drop. They don't want to buy expensive lumber either. So give it some time and you're going to see that lumber prices are going to come back down. Where they land, who knows? I don't suspect that we're going to see $2 studs again. I think that would be a little far-fetched to imagine prices coming down to that level. But I could certainly see them get back down to $4 for a 2x4 as opposed to $13 that they are now, or that I'm selling them for. Other people talk about how, that's another thing. I don't mean to interrupt my kind of thought here, but a lot of people talk about this. It's like, man, this guy must be losing it because where I'm at, they're selling for like $8. I'm talking 2x4, 8-foot, standard and better, KD, Doug fir. And most of the time what I get in is better than a standard and better. It's a premium grade. So we always have nice looking lumber. Not always. I mean, sometimes we get the stuff in and it just looks like hell, but you have to kind of go with what's available. But there's a difference between buying kiln dried Doug fir and some whitewood, who knows what it is. Pine and Doug fir are two completely different species of wood. So there is a species difference that, adjusts the pricing. So that's probably one of the reasons. The other reason is that I'm way out on the coast, a long ways away from the distribution hubs. So you have to ship it all the way out or truck it all the way out to my location, which adds a tremendous amount of cost to the product. So availability, species, there's a lot of differences in the types of material that are out there. So it's not like every single 2x4 is comparable to the next one. Just to kind of clear that one up for a lot of people who are kind of questioning that. The same thing with like the plywoods. The closer you are to the distribution hubs, the cheaper the prices are going to be. So the farther away you get and where you are in line with your orders. So if you had placed, a significant order earlier in the year, then you would be able to sell your plywood for a dramatically less price than somebody who is picking it up a unit at a time out of one of the wholesalers out of Portland. If you're going that route, you're going to be paying a lot of money for it, and therefore the retail price of it's going to be expensive. But like I said, if you order 2 truckloads at the beginning of the year and we're able to get those truckloads in early, your plywood prices are going to be dramatically better than anybody else's would be. So a lot of it has to do with timing on that one. Availability right now is very scarce when it comes to plywood. There's still a tremendous issue with trying to locate plywood. So the supply of that is still very weak and difficult, and going to probably remain elevated prices far after after the lumber prices begin to drop. As far as the retail lumber prices coming down, it's going to take a while. This expensive lumber that is sitting in the pipeline right now needs to filter through. Think about this. This is the July contract coming due on the 15th of July. Right now, we're sitting on whatever the May contract closed and whatever the mills are selling it for. So that May contract, it closed up at $1,500 per thousand. And now the mills, whatever they're selling for, is probably coming down following the futures contract. But all the material that's already sitting in the pipeline, everything that is sitting in the lumber yards, everything that is, at the distribution hubs, all that is super expensive lumber. And it's going to take a while to filter through all that. And when you have housing starts slowing down, dropping, and you have pretty much no retailers out there buying, no chicken coops, no sheds, no remodeling of the basements, no shelving in the garage, none of that stuff has taken place. Only the absolute necessities, repair jobs or something like that, where, the house would deteriorate more if the project wasn't done. Those are the only things that are taking place right now. And so as this continues into the year, we are going to see a dramatic change in the economic conditions from that. I tell you guys, watching lumber is going to predict where it is that we are in the economy. Just keep an eye on this. Jobs are going to be another big indicator. Right now, everybody is talking about how there is this huge labor shortage. I predict in a year from now, people will be begging for employment. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.